Good afternoon, fellow Brew Crew podcast, Advent Calendar, Lollapalooza, Chulamanga, Chuggalo extravaganza, folks. Today, this is Phil, and today is day 22. I'm flying solo again. Today is 22, the Advent Calendar podcast, and this is my contribution to today. Today, we are sampling a libation from Brink Brewing Company, something called Hold the Reins, and it's an English mild. So this is going to be really interesting. This is the first and only English mild we've had in the whole podcast for the Advent Calendar, and I'm excited to try it. I'm a lover of English beer, kind of cut my teeth on them back in my college days when I spent a time overseas studying abroad in England. But this looks very interesting. I'm going to jump right in. Hope you're all enjoying Advent and enjoying this beautiful day today. So here we go. Brink Brewing Company, Hold the Reins. Oh, can art. It's really cool, actually. It looks like I think it's a hurricane. It must be. It's a British plane. I think that's what that is. It's a Spitfire or a Hurricane. I don't know. I don't know which one. Anyway, pretty cool can art. Brink. And Brink is, sorry, I'm going to just jump right to, Brink is brewed in Cincinnati, right here in Ohio. So we like that. Ready? 3, 2, 1. For any of those of you who are synchronizing with me, which you probably aren't. Here we go. Hold the Reins, an English mild. Oh yeah. No, that meets expectations, and then some. I haven't had an English mild in years, by the way. It's not a very popular beer flavor here in the United States, but I really love it because it's one of those beers that kind of straddles the border between a lighter kind of an ale, pale ale style, and a regular ale, like an English bitter. It's not as bitter as an English bitter. So on the scale of things, I would say it'd be like a pale ale, a mild, or maybe the other way around even. And then like an English bitter, and then an IPA, from an English standpoint anyway. So here we go. Wow. So definitely not a super strong hoppy bitter bite up front or in the finish, which is very typical. It's very smooth. Very subtle hop characteristics, which is very typical of English beer, I find. It's definitely got, you can taste the malt and the barley, the sweetness of it, very nicely balanced. It's a good, very drinkable beer. It's one of those thirst-quenching beers that one might have on a hot summer day or a hot early autumn day. I'm really liking this a lot. It's very interesting. It's got some sparkle to it on the finish. Not so much, there's carbonation in it, obviously, but it's not so much that. There's just something else about it that's just a little bit sparkly and fluorescent. I can't really describe it much better than that. I'm not sure what that is exactly, but it makes it interesting because otherwise it would be a very kind of a, almost a pale ale, like I said, it's almost a pale ale kind of a flavor, pale ale lager, flavorful lager kind of a flavor. But you can tell it's not a lager because it doesn't have the same qualities about it on the fermentation. So typically lagers are using different kind of yeast, which ferment on the top versus ferment on the on the top versus on the bottom. So it leaves different flavor profiles, and it tends to make for a lighter lighter beer too. This particular beer is 4.8%, so it's not a heavy beer at all from an alcohol content standpoint. It's in keeping with what you would expect from a light ale, and so I'm really liking it. It's not the the flashiest, hey, look at me, take notice of me kind of a brew. So when you compare it across the breadth of the last 21 offerings we've had, which have been all over the map and some have been pretty flamboyant, it doesn't stand out like that. But it doesn't need to. It's an English mild. They've been doing it a long time. They've been doing it a lot longer than we have. And they make this style very, very well, just as they do English bitters, which is also rarely seen in this country. So I'm enjoying it a lot. Oh yeah, there's some fruit notes there, and maybe that's what it is. I've got some fruit esters that are there. I don't think they're brewing it with fruit, by the way, but that's a natural byproduct of the fermentation process based on how they're doing it. A lot of times you'll get some sort of fruitiness or fruit esters there. You don't want too much of that, obviously, or that spells, trouble with the brewing process. That's not what I'm tasting at all. This is a really pleasant thing that adds to the flavor profile of it. Hits you kind of midpoint on the palate, and also in the finish you can taste it. So interesting beer. More complex than a typical mild might be. Well, let's just say it. I like this beer a lot. I would drink this beer again and again. It's nice and light. If I don't want something heavy, if I want something refreshing, I would definitely buy this. And I'm loving this. If you're a lover of English brews, like milds, like bitters, like IPAs, that sort of thing, pale ales, even the English style, this is a great beer. I would recommend this highly. I'm going to give this a really high score. I'm going to give this this is probably going to shock most people. I'm going to give this a 4.0. I like this a lot. And, it's kind of hard to compare against anything else because we haven't had any other milds. But I would even compare this with pale ales. And we've had a lot of West Coast style beers. That's very common and very popular in our country, and everybody loves those, including me. But it's not that. It doesn't have that real forward hop bite to it. It's not dry hopped. It doesn't have, those super heavy, flavorful, pronounced Northwest hops in it. These are English hops, and they're much more subtle, and they blend in much nicer. So I like this a lot. 4.0, that's my score. Deal with it. All right, guys, have a great day, and we'll catch you next time tomorrow on the next podcast. Thanks. Bye.